very fun cherry blossoms today. Sorry, my brain just stopped. Oh, farts. My brain just stopped. And here we go, guys. Already on a roll. Okay, so what I did with this is I prepped this cup. You can see the sanding marks underneath it. And we spray painted this cup like a pale blue. And then I did bursts of light blue. So it's kind of like a two levels of blue, just to add the texture and the dimension to the blue. So if you look up close, you can see where the darker blue is underneath. And then we did light bursts of the light blue over the top of that. I'm going to use some silicone stir sticks to kind of hold it in place. We've got our vinyl ready to go. With this, you might recognize these. These are the lightning bolts from our last tutorial. We are just going to repurpose them now as branches for our cherry blossoms. This was the large lightning bolt, and these were the small lightning bolts, and I cut them out in 3 different shape colors. So it, again, gives more texture and dimension as we work. So what we're going to do with this first one is we're going to place this guy down onto the cup very carefully. And this is just going to be kind of a cherry blossom that kind of emerges up the side, and then we're probably going to have a beautiful decal up here. So what we need to start this tutorial is we're going to be working with our decals, our tumbler. We'll probably be using our fine-tipped tweezers. We're going to be using Mod Podge. We have Henderson, Beauregard, and Dillon as the glitter colors that we will be using to do the cherry blossoms. We're going to be using our detailing dotting tool. We're also going to be using raspberry colored alcohol ink. We also just have some dollar store sponges over here to the side. You'll see as we get here through this how we work with these. Then I also got just a little silicone mold off to the side. What I'm actually going to end up doing with this is pouring the Mod Podge in here and using this as kind of like a painter's tray. Just because I have it and it's fun, it's cute, and then it's easy to clean out. So let's get started. What we first want to do is get this going with the branches of the cherry tree. So now what I did was I took this and printed it out with my Cricut. Again, this file is available in the Facebook group files for free. And you want to press firmly on your transfer tape. The transfer tape I use is just clear. It does not have lines on it. That's just personal preference. So I'm going to go ahead and press that out, make sure it gets very, very well adhered to the back of that transfer tape, and then we're going to lift that up. Now, this is not going to go easy peasy right up and over that lump, but it's okay because the branches are so flexible that they can kind of move as we go. They don't have to go on perfect. Now, if this was words or something, we would have to be a lot more careful laying down our branches for sure, because we want to line it up and have it come out almost, we would say, perfect. But because that is not the case with this, we're just going to be laying these down and then getting them in place. Very slow and steady. This big one is going to be the hardest one to lay because he's going to be the one that's the most stretched out across the canvas, aka cup. So you can see this is a lot easier than if you were doing this with words. So we're just going to get that part positioned down. Then we're going to kind of come in and start working on the second half. So we're just slowly dropping, as you guys watch, I'm just working this up and around and over this hump. Easy, 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 easy. You don't want to use, what you definitely want to avoid doing in this occasion, because we're just working directly on a painted cup, this has no epoxy on it, is you want to avoid the Cricut strong grip tape, because that will rip your paint right off the cup. This is just medium grip. I stuck it to my shirt once so that it doesn't just, it releases the vinyl very, very easily, and it doesn't grab onto the cup super aggressively. So now we can take our fine tip tweezers. This is where the fine tip tweezers come in, and we can kind of pull that up anywhere that it had like maybe a little wrinkle, and then lay it down. And make sure it's all pressed down really well, okay? The next color, and again, remember guys, I just said that this is for texture. You don't have to do separate colors. This is just so, because I don't want it to all be one color. I want this to be layered in and have a lot of dimension and vibrancy to it. So that's why I said I cut it out in the multiple different colors. This one will be a lot easier to lay down because it, again, it is much smaller. There we go. So now we've got that second color layered in there, the light colored branch. It almost looks like sea coral. So if you needed an under the sea cup, you could do this in a coral color, and this would be the coral of your ocean. All right, and then we have the dark one, the dark branches. I think I'm gonna make the dark branches go hard right. Again, this is all personal preference. You lay it in how you like it. So in my mind, the decal is gonna go somewhere right here, and all the flowers are gonna be coated all around this part of the cup. Use my little squeegee to press it down. Take my little tweezers, get up under there. So don't scratch the paint. These tweezers come in very handy. All right, so now we have our three colors kind of layered. You can keep going around the cup. You can finish the cup. You can see we had some spatter coming out of the spray paint. I'm not worried about it. It's just adding texture to the cup. It's fun. We're just playing today. So we now are going to get into the next step, which is adding the beautiful flowers. And again, like I said, we are using Henderson, Beauregard, and Dillon as our cherry blossoms. We're going to be kind of doing all the different colors. To set up for these, what we're going to do is we are going to take a sponge, and we're going to be using just like these cheap dollar store makeup sponges, and I'm going to kind of just tear the corners off. I don't want it to be perfectly square or round per se. They just can be kind of mushy and kind of tear up the middle. Make it almost look like your little dog chewed on it or mouse chewed on it, just for fun. Just, again, texture. So these are just dollar store brushes, and we really only need one, but I'll have two. I'll get two ready just in case. Have one on hand in case that one gets gunked up. I have a second one. I don't have to Try to fight a new one. All right, so I have a second one just on hand in case. I'm going to pour out some Mod Podge. This is the fabric Mod Podge. This is the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. It does not matter what Mod Podge you use. This is just to get it stuck down. This is the dishwasher safe. Just pouring out a little bit here. I got this on sale clearly at Hobby Lobby. I always check for my sales at my Hobby Lobbies. But now with quarantine, they've actually shut down. I'm so bummed. Oh, I don't know what to do without Hobby Lobby. I mean, I'm using Michael's. They are doing the door-to-door or curbside pickup, but it's not the same. And then what I'm actually doing is I'm going to use this beautiful raspberry alcohol ink, and I'm going to add 1 drop at a time until I get the color I want, which to me is basically going to be 1 drop because I just want it a little pink. How pretty is that? And then we're going to swirl it in there. We're basically just going to get this Mod Podge to be colored light pink. This is just going to be in the background of basically the glitter is going to be the petals of the flowers. So this is going to just act as the background. And having the colored Mod Podge is just another little added bonus. Okay, and then I need to clean off, grab my baby wipes. You always need to have your baby wipes handy. Clean off my dotting tool because we will need him in a minute. Okay. If you don't have a dotting tool, you can use the end of a stir stick. You can use a toothpick. You don't have to have a dotting tool. These are just really handy dandy. Okay, so now we are going to start working with our glitter and our sponge and start putting on our flowers. I recommend going dark to light, because going light to dark ends up, if the dark will contaminate the light, you see it a lot more than if you go the opposite way. So we are going to, there's a couple different bonuses to having Mod Podge that is colored. If you live in a cold climate and you are somewhere where you can't spray paint your cups outside, you can actually Mod Podge with color in it to get that look. You can put Mod Podge and just put a lot of either alcohol ink or just a little bit of acrylic paint. You can paint acrylic paint straight on instead of spray paint, because I know in some areas of the United States or wherever you guys are watching from, it's too cold, and when you take your spray paint outside to spray, it just spatters because it basically freezes outside. And so adding the color to the Mod Podge will help add base color. So if you don't have acrylic paint, but you have Mod Podge, add some alcohol ink to it and color it up. There you go. It's fun. It does go transparent though. I mean, translucent, translucent. It goes see-through. So it kind of gives it like a mirror look. It's really cool. Especially if you do it on a white, if you, I can go on and on about Mod Podge with alcohol ink in it. Okay, let's start on our cherry blossoms. Okay, so we're gonna go dark to light. We're gonna start with Henderson. It's Harry and the Hendersons. That's why he was named Henderson. Henderson and Beauregard are gonna be our 2 main cherry blossom colors. And we are going to take the little ripped up sponge and we're gonna dab a corner of it in our Mod Podge. And we're gonna just kind of sploosh it on in just areas. And I want there to be quite a few blossoms. I don't want to be, you know, when you look up in a cherry blossom tree, it's pretty full. So I want this to be decently heavy in cherry blossoms. but I want enough space between them so that you can actually define that there are separate flowers. So we're just gonna keep kind of blopping it on. Even if it seems a little bit too thick, it's fine because once the glitter hits it, it'll thin out. And we'll go from one side to the next. And remember, we're gonna also be piecing in some of the lighter flowers in there as well. So make sure you save some room for the next color. Don't do all your darks. Don't use all the space all up with just the dark. But I'm even going to kind of go off the branches a little bit because with you, in my mind, I think about looking up into a cherry tree, and it's just blasted full of blossoms when it's really in bloom. Okay, so we're going to keep that side just like that. That looks like a good amount. Ooh, let's get a couple more in there. A little right here. And maybe one right here. Okay, so now I've already got my parchment paper down. And if you guys could count how many times I say that would probably be a lot. And we are going to open up our shaker. This is Henderson. I checked, because you guys always count me. He is available on the website right now. He is a beautiful, 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 like deep pink. You'll see him as he comes out. He is an iridescent, and we're going to just tap him on over that Mod Podge now. Then we're going to tap that off. How beautiful is that? There's a little extra bits, but they're not on paint, so we're not going to worry about it. Okay, so, because we don't want to use our glitter duster yet, because you'll see. You'll see. We're going to press this all in there, get it down nice and solid, and let it set a little bit, and then we will go back through and dust off all the extra pieces that we don't need. So now we're going to go to this other side that did not get any glue yet, and I can dust off just a little bit on this side. There we go. But how beautiful is that? To me, it looks just like cherry blossoms. Okay, so now, I mean, everybody has their opinion, but to me, it looks just like them. Okay, now we're gonna go onto this edge. Down in here. All right, putting these in nice and thick. Again, remember, it doesn't have to be right on a branch either, because like I was saying, it's cherry blossoms, or there's just a ton of them when you look up inside the tree. What you do want to kind of avoid is covering all of the branches. You do want to see some of the branches. This is super fun. All right, I feel like that's a good amount. So here we go. Henderson, a little bit more. All right, so now we have this gorgeous tree, and now what we're just gonna do is go through and press these in and make sure they have made good contact with the Mod Podge. I have a little baby wipe off to the side to clean my finger, because once it starts kind of getting all gooey, you actually start taking off glitter. But you also are kind of flattening the glitter down to make it easy to cover with epoxy. So it's kind of twofold. You're making sure it's getting stuck down, it's getting stuck down to the Mod Podge, but you're also making sure that it's flat so it's nice and easy to cover. And remember, when it kind of goes bland like that, it will come back underneath. It's just the Mod Podge. The blandness is just the Mod Podge. The Mod Podge will go clear relatively, and then with the epoxy, the shine will just come right back. All right, let's set that off to the side. All right, so now I'm just gonna kind of go back in through there with my finger and remove some of this, I don't wanna say contaminant because it's absolutely gorgeous, but the extra dark bits. And we're starting to kind of give ourselves a backdrop to start going to our lighter color. Now we're going to be using Dylan as the center of the little flowers down the road. That will be, we have to wait till the Mod Podge pretty much dries so we can start adding those bits. So with this, I'm just kind of going in and gently dusting. Ooh, I almost messed up that whole flower. Stay there. This is a little tedious, but it kind of, you want to do it so that it doesn't add, the dark pink doesn't get into the light pink. Because you want to have the different colored flowers. Because that's how a beautiful cherry tree is. It has, it's multifaceted. With the fresh buds and the open buds and the little tiny ones that haven't even cracked yet. All right, super pretty. All right, so now let's go back in through. We're not gonna get every single piece. That's just we're just kind of helping it along, but we know we're not gonna get every single piece. All right, so let's get ready. We're gonna do Beauregard next. And we're gonna take him and we're gonna start putting him on. I'm not gonna get into this area right here. I wanted you to be able to see that it's like a tree sprouting out. So I'm just gonna start going in various places and adding another little blossom with the Mod Podge. You want to have enough Mod Podge in each little spot to make sure that the glitter has something to stick to. You don't want to go too thin. It's better actually to go too heavy than too thin. And you don't have to use Mod Podge. At this point with quarantine, use whatever type glue you have. I just happen to have like every single type of glue, so we're using Mod Podge today because it's what I normally would use. But if you have Gorilla Glue or Super Glue or whatever you have in your shop, E6000 or whatever it's called, use that. Elmer's glue. We even work with Elmer's glue. You just got to get it to stick long enough and so that you can get clear coat spray paint over the top. All right, I feel like we got quite a few good, nice little blossoms that are going to be Beauregard color. Pretty. Okay, so let's add Beauregard. Make sure this parchment paper is nice and clean. Let's go ahead and turn it over just in case. I'm actually going to unscrew the top because I think some of those bigger bits won't come out. We're going to start adding them on. So these are going to be like the softer pink. You want to tap off the excess. And there you go. So what we're going to do now is do the same thing we did, is go through and just tap our finger into it. Make sure it's attached onto that Mod Podge real well. Just enough to make sure it's grabbed. Like I said, I have a little piece of baby wipe off to the side. I'm wiping my finger. I don't want to. And if any flower looks like it's kind of too big, like this one looks a little wonky, just kind of size them up, push them together. You still have time to play with it before it dries. All right, gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, so now we're just gonna let it sit. So this, I will let it sit overnight, and then we'll go in through very, very gently tomorrow and do, we're gonna come in tomorrow and gently dust this with the glitter brush to remove anything that's not stuck. So all these little tiny fine pieces that are there, those will come back. Ooh, you know what? Oh, I changed my mind. I'm gonna go in because we need some light. We need some light up here because it's really dark up in this area. So let's add one up here for sure. Maybe one right here. Just feel it. Just feel it. Beautiful. What do you guys think? All right, so a member of my Facebook group, she says, add more and make it look like some are blowing away in the wind. And everybody agrees. So we are gonna add a few little guys that are blowing away. Here we go. Doodly-doo, doodly-doo. We'll just do a few in light and then we'll do a few in dark. Okay, now we will fold this up, put this back in our little jar, and now let's add a couple dark. Let's add a dark here. Ooh, that's gonna be a big one. And maybe a dark. I don't want them too close. I don't want them too close. Maybe a dark one right there. Okay, so the dark one I'm using, remember, is Henderson, and the light one is Bobby. All right, so now this cup will basically have to dry until tomorrow, till we can really work on the next step. All right, so what we got laid out here is in my little silicone mold here. I've got a little Mod Podge, and that's, you don't really need to use a silicone mold. I just do because it's real easy to clean out, and I'm using Mod Podge as my glue. And then I've got raspberry alcohol ink. I buy this from itsbychristina.com. I really like shopping on that website because she sells her inks individually. You're not stuck into buying a whole case like you would at like a hobby store. Like generally you need like a lime green, but then it comes with like an ugly orange and a brown, and you're like, well, I only need the lime green, but so you have to spend like $15 just to get the one you need, and you end up with two colors that you don't. So I liked buying it on this website because I can shop individually. Plus she has this absolutely gorgeous gray blue. It's called Slate, I believe. Oh, something maybe. I'll have to recheck. And it looks just like the blue jean color, and I'm super excited for some projects with that one. But like I said, it's just Mod Podge and alcohol ink mixed. Now I'm going to actually take it and pour in just a little bit of Willie W. He is our fuchsia and purple. It's kind of like a color shift. He's part of our fantasy series. I'm going to mix that in as well. And we're going to start kind of working our way towards getting the middle section of our cherry blossoms going. We need a little bit more glitter. Not too much. We're still going to add a little more glitter to the cup itself. All right, so we got our little concoction going here. So I have it on the turner. It makes it easy for me to rotate it as I start doing this. It's the turner will not be turned on at this point. It's just going to be here to hold the cup while I do this. So I'm going to take my little dotting tool. I really like these dotting tools because you can add just a little doodad drop. But if you don't have a dotting tool, a toothpick would suffice. I'm just going through on the Beauregard, and I'm adding some of this glitter and Mod Podge mix. And basically what this is this is going to be the center of the flower. Of each of the light colored flowers. Okay. Keep rotating and just putting a little center dauber on each one. All right, there we go. This is pretty simple but tedious little part of the job here. And this is just adding like the heart of the flower, like where like the bees would take their pollen from. And this is basically just glorified colored glue with a little glitter in it. But it adds like the perfect little touch. Adds the details and the texture to the cup, makes it unique. Now, Dylan is back on the website. He was sold out for a while, you guys. But I do know he is now officially back on the site. So the colors I used for the flowers, were Henderson. Those are the darker colored flowers. And then the lighter colored flowers are Beauregard. And then for this middle part, like I said, we are using raspberry alcohol ink, Mod Podge, and Dillon as the glitter color. I'm going to use a baby wipe to clean off my dotting tool. Again, if you don't have a dotting tool, you can use a toothpick or any object that's going to help you pick up that Mod Podge out of your little mermaid mold. And then we are going to grab a piece of parchment paper and stick it under there. And we are going to go ahead and drop Dillon over the top of our little bits. All right, so now that we have all that little bit of Mod Podge and the glitter, we're going to add a little bit more glitter because when in doubt, add more. We're going to add a little bit more Dillon over the top of each one of those little bursts. And we have our parchment paper underneath to catch the fallout. And these are just going to be the centers of each of these beautiful light colored cherry blossoms. The darker ones we're not adding it to because they are already dark, and we don't want the cup to go too dark because cherry blossoms really are pretty light pink. Tap it out. How pretty is that? Oh, I might even leave like some of the glitter like that's stuck there. I might leave it. It looks really pretty. I have already used the glitter duster this morning to remove the extra Beauregard and the extra Henderson. But I really kind of like the Dillon kind of spattered in between. It adds to the whole point, like these are kind of blowing in the wind. It kind of really adds to that effect of those blowing in the wind. So I may just now let this cure up with these little spots in the middle and then spray over this with clear spray and leave these chunks, some of these chunks of this big, beautiful Dillon on it. What do you guys think? Looks pretty gorgeous. Okay, so now at this point, we're just going to let this dry and let those little center bits dry down for the flowers, and we will be back. We'll do a clear coat spray paint over everything else, and we will be back after that all dries and get our epoxy on.